Of course. Okay, now it looks better. I was like, why does it look so dark? I forgot to turn the light on. So how is everybody doing? I hope you guys had a good week so far. I hope everybody had a good weekend. And I'm sorry we had to move it again, but you know, it's hard to get dentist appointments. So I was like, I can't reschedule this because I'm going to wait another 6 months. So anyways, how is everybody doing? Hey, Pukdal. Hey, Tatiana. And of course, I had to wear Tupac today because for the young ones that don't know, Pac was calling out Diddle Bop in all of his parties back in the day, right alongside Wendy Williams. So it seemed only fitting that if we're going to discuss Meek being the pass around party bottom, that we bring in the originator of the Diddy ain't shit and people in Hollywood want to make you bend over at parties. Hey, Ashley. Hi, Alasia. How are you? So, anyways, and then also for those who don't know where the pass around party bottom came from, it was from this past New Year's Eve with Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen. One of them messed up what they were saying, and then they started joking around and saying that every party needs a pass around party bottom. So I was like, well, I guess that's what Meek was, right? I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing? And we have the Topo Chico is back. They have them in plastic bottles now. I like my drinks in the glass bottles better. Hey, Kia. How are you, babe? I'm just letting a few more people come in before we get started. Hey, Caitlin. They sell those bottoms at the boutiques. The party bottom. Well, that's what Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper were saying, and I posted in Patreon because, you know, Hollywood likes to operate under the guise of like hidden in plain sight and implied consent. And if you guys want to know more about that, you can always join us over on patreon.com/psychicbellolove, because basically all of the stuff that's come out about Diddle Bop and now Meek, I exposed like years ago in there. But anyways, when they were saying that like every party needs a pass around party bottom, and then of course like we've been hearing all this stuff about, if you've been paying attention to the Bravo lawsuits, about like how Andy like likes to party. And so I was just like, maybe that was one of those things where they had to tell us, but like make it seem like a joke, you know, so that people don't take it seriously, because they believe that if you tell us, but you make it sound like it's a joke or entertainment or so egregious, that they can skip some kind of karma because they told us that that's what they're a part of. So I was like, for all we knew, you know, that's maybe that's what Anderson and Andy were doing. And they were like, listen, somebody's going to get exposed as the pass around party bottom soon. So, well, that's why, like, when everybody always wants to say, like, oh, the people that write for The Simpsons, for example, you know, like, they're psychic and they're always like saying stuff and it comes true later, and it's like, because that's what they're doing. Hang on one second. I have a hair on my face that is annoying the absolute shit out of me. Let me see if I can see it. Oh, there it is. Okay. It's the worst when you can't find the hair that you can fill on your face, but at least I found it. So of course, Kia, we will see you later. So, anyways, I don't put anything past any of these Holly weirdos. So that's why I was just like, especially when a joke goes viral like that, and then literally not even 3 entire months later, something like this comes out. It's like, I don't think that's a coincidence, because there's very few things in life that are coincidences, especially when it comes to them. Meaning the Satanists that run the world, especially Holly Weird. So, anyways, hey Can. And like always, all of the topics that we talk about on any of these lives were chosen by my patrons. And if you want to join us on Patreon, that's where we have exclusive content. We talk about the Illuminati, history, religion, celebrity stuff. And that's the only place I take requests for celebrity video readings. But did you guys listen to Kelsey's podcast interview? I think it was on the Danza show or something. I didn't, because I just saw like all the clips going around, and I was just like, oh God, this is just gonna be her talking in circles, insinuating things, but not really saying anything at all. So, you know, it's all, oh, the Illuminati stuff, Plictel, is it's any of the tiers. There's a $3 Barb's tier, you know, for the Nikki stuff, and then any of the other tiers after that, you guys have exclusive access to all the content. But, and then I saw, you know, like Armand Wiggins' breakdown of it and Crystal Nicole's, and I was just like, okay, see, I'm not even gonna waste my time, because, you know, both of them said it was just frustrating as hell because Kelsey didn't say anything really, and it was just basically like a PR spin so that everybody could be like, poor little Kelsey. And I like that Crystal Nicole is like, yes, Kelsey was a victim up until they got in that damn car that night. Like, you know, yeah, she got screwed over, but then the second that you decided that you were going to lie and put an innocent black man in jail, you stopped being a victim. And because basically, it's the truth. Yeah, and that's why I wasn't going to waste 2 hours of my time getting annoyed and pissed off not to learn anything when I could use that 2 hours to literally do anything else. There's way too much other stuff happening in the world to waste our time listening to something that's just gonna be nonsense, right? Hey, Shanna. Oh my God. See, that's what everybody kept saying, that it was just basically a waste, that nothing new was said. So, you know, what did Armand said, that it was the worst 2 hour experience, 2 hours he experienced in the entirety of his life or something. I was just like, if people are describing it that way, like, it sounds like something I don't want to do. So, anyways, bad good influences. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what you missed, but it's like, I didn't really say anything yet. So anyways, guys, let's get into the topic. So let's start off with Bia versus Carlos, because I told you guys that this was happening. And I know whether it was on YouTube or in Patreon that I also specifically named Bia as one of the people that Carlos was gonna pick at, because number one, guys, like I have told you guys, number one, Carlos knows that like she can't really win any sort of a battle against Nikki at this point. Like, you're not gonna outsell her. Nobody's excited whatsoever for you to come out with your album. You know, her fan base has shrunk. And so if she was to try to pull some 2017 type shit with Nicki right now, like she would just end up like falling flat on her ass, and it would make things worse for her. But the whole entire reason why Carlos even has a career is because it was started off of beef, right? So it's like they don't know how to market this girl or how to make anything happen for her unless she's fighting with somebody. And it's like, well, we can't pick at Nicki, so let's pick at every single other person that we know that Nicki's ever been associated with, because what does Carlos always do? She always still tries to at least attach her name to Nicki's in the algorithm because it makes her trend. And so every time that she gets in a fight with Bia or JT or, you know, somebody else that we know was in Nicki's, you know, atmosphere at one point or another, then we know that the fan bases are gonna start connecting it back to Nicki. So Carlos gets to be a sniper from the side, so to speak, in this instance. But well, that's the thing that I'm saying. I really hope that this benefits Bia more than Carlos, because the thing is, Carlos needs to stop picking at people, because she has to wait for Partisan Fontaine to take his face out of Jada Kingdom's butt cheeks so he can write a freaking response for her. Whereas Bia can just walk in the other room and turn her fucking laptop on and like drop a fucking diss real quick. So that's why I'm just like, why would you fight with people if you can't even respond to them because you gotta wait for somebody else to come in and do it for you? Like, come on. Hey, Madeline, I'm glad you made it. Carlos is a professional victim and swears everyone starts with her. Well, I mean, and this is the thing. Obviously, Carlos got some more work done on her face again. I think she tried to get her nose straightened out because remember, everybody was making fun of her and saying her nose was crooked and that like her nostrils didn't match. So I think she tried to fix that. But can we talk about how fucking creepy and weird it is that like she went and got all of these surgeries so that she could look like other girls. She blatantly copies them constantly. Because it's like, yes, it started with Nicki, but then she tried to morph into Saweetie and JT, and now she's copying Bia. And it's like, if she's not surgically morphing herself into these girls, then she's trying to steal their flow or their beat or dress like them. And it's just like, girl, listen, okay, I'm a Libra too, and I know that they call us chameleons sometimes. But chameleon does not mean that we go change into other people. It means that we can tap into the different sides of us so we can get along with everybody. Like, get it straight if you're going to pretend to be a damn Libra, please. Or just come out and admit that you're probably a Scorpio or some water sign instead. But anyways, like, it's fucking weird, okay? She looks like a fucking psycho stalker crazy person. Like, let's be dead ass honest, okay? If this was an apartment complex that all these girls lived in and Carlos popped out every fucking day wearing the same outfit that one of these other girls wore the day before and was constantly trying to sleep with their boyfriends and talk about them but be like them, everybody would be like, did you see the weird bitch that lives in 2B? Stay the fuck away from her. But because she's a musician, everybody's like, oh my God, Carlos is so cool, and just like ignores it. No, it's some like straight up single white female shit. I enjoy when she has surgery, so we have a break from her antics on social media. Listen, we do not appreciate what a good couple months that we just got, you guys. Okay, Diddle Bop is getting destroyed. We had a break from Carlos and Croissant and Bluetooth. Then here, see nothing about them anywhere on the internet for a hot minute. Nicki and Kanye dropped killer fucking albums. Like, we were in paradise and we didn't even realize it. And then March rolls around and here comes the shenanigans again. So, well, I said musician in quotes for a reason. But let's just see. I want to get an overview from Spirit on what they have to say about this whole situation first, and then we'll ask specific questions. Because, woo. And also, you know, like I've pointed out, the stuff that Carlos does, like the surgeries that she goes to get, everybody else and their grandma is reversing those surgeries. Like, everybody else is like, you know what? We don't want to look like ants anymore. I'm going to go get my BBL taken out. And Carlos is like, let me go back for around 9,754. Like, girl, everybody stopped getting all the fillers and the Botox. They want to move their faces again. And she's just behind and like trying to catch up to where everybody was at in 2017, basically. Honestly, I think Carlos like has some sort of like mental disorder that it keeps her stuck in the past. The same way that Beyonce is obsessed with 1983. Same thing with this girl. She's obsessed with 2017 when she was hot and what everybody was doing then. And she doesn't realize it's 2024 and we want people with actual talent. Nobody wants to look like an ant anymore. Having a frozen face isn't so cute any longer. Like, we want to look like human beings again. But here's Carlos just stuck on what it used to be. Well, I don't know exactly what year of the 80s that Beyonce is so stuck on, but that decade has her in a chokehold with her fashions and everything else. And I'm like, girl, I get it. Like, I was born in 1982, but, you know, I also realize what year we live in, so I'm not going to walk around like, oh, it's 1983 still. Okay, this is so funny. This is so funny, you guys. I literally, you know, I'm just laying the cards down. I'm sitting here making fun of Beyonce for being stuck in the 80s. I look down, I see the Queen of Swords and Spirit saying, throwing everything at the wall like spaghetti to see what sticks. Like, that's Carlos's team is on desperation mode because it's like, we've seen Bozos didn't do anything, right? Whatever the fuck this song's name is, I haven't heard anybody making a big deal about it other than the fact that apparently people got mad because she dissed Coach or something in it. Which, by the way, guys, I know everybody was trying to attach that to something that Cameron had said in, you know, an older song. And then, of course, Carlos was trying to claim that she's a Dipset fan. I was like, no, whoever wrote the song for you is a Dipset fan, dumb shit. But let's also make, you know, see it for what it is. And let's remember that when a certain person started calling themselves the Regina George of the industry, they had a Coach endorsement. Remember that? Because Selena Gomez had one, and like they like picked all the like popular girls that were, you know, making a name for themselves in music at that time. So that was also a diss toward Mucus also, but that went over people's heads. So, because I've been telling you guys, these bitches aren't friends with each other, and they don't like each other, and they be dissing each other. They just pretend for the public like it's friends, because I have told you guys all along, she's gonna beef with a bunch of other people, but Megan will be that last person that she gets in her big beef with. It's like they're saving it. Oh, if it doesn't work, you know, beefing with JT, if beefing with Akbar didn't work, if beefing with Bia didn't work, if getting in a fight with Ice Spice didn't work, if getting in an argument with somebody that you saw Nikki walk by on a staircase one time didn't work, now we will go and start our fight with Megan because, you know, it's like we're going to try to pretend like they're friends until that doesn't work anymore. And then we're going to move on, you know, and try to use that. So, because Carlos is a user and so is Megan. They both use whoever they can and then toss them to the side afterwards. So, you know, it kind of is only karma that they would end up doing that to each other. But right now, we're at, you know, we've already seen she fought with JT, she picked it Ice Spice, and now it's Bia's turn. This actually is going to end up seeing Bia and to be honest with you, anybody else that Carlos tries to start with right now, because she will start with somebody else when Bia's not, you know, it's not working with Bia and she moves on. But they're all coming out as the victors in this situation. Like, I honestly feel like JT is probably this other person, because it's showing two women of her picking at, trying to start her shit with them. But when you got the Two of Swords and the freaking Fool card right there, it's like, you let, because Spirit's saying that's people around her, again, off cheat, the shitty management team that she has, you know, who are encouraging her to go start crap with other girls and telling her, you know, the rap beefs work and this is just a part of the game and, oh, everybody doesn't, you know, does it and all of that. But again, Carlos, this is not 2017. Oprah is not getting paid anymore by Atlantic to go fucking get on the Shade Room comments and tell everybody to listen to your bullshit song. Because let's not forget the payola that really went into backing this girl, to where they had Oprah step into the Shade Room on a red carpet and say that she just loved Bodak Yellow and she was so excited for Carlos's album to drop. I'm sorry, but I just remember, like, when that happened and people like Obama and fucking Oprah were like endorsing her, and people were just like, yeah, Oprah's really sitting in her fucking mansion in Montecito listening to Bodak Yellow while she waters her damn roses. Like, well, this is the thing that Carlos doesn't realize. And this is going to be her downfall, is number one, she is an industry plant. You know, Kanye said it. We've all said it. You know, Kanye saying it, being another person who's in the industry, obviously it was just like a confirmation for all of us normies that have been saying that. And they went so fucking hard for this girl as an industry plant. But what she doesn't realize is the same that I've said about a lot of these other people that they've tried to put into position as somebody's so-called replacement, which never works, because you're not Whitney Houston. You're never going to be Whitney Houston. Why would we buy you as Whitney Houston's replacement? Like, let us get to know you as like whoever the fuck you're supposed to be on your own. But when you look at the history of the industry plans, not only does it never work for them to completely replace somebody, but they always have a short shelf life. And even if they can capture an audience for a few years, they never have real true longevity in their careers. And the industry, the label, the manager, whoever it is that created that person and put them up in front of us, will always go find a replacement for the industry plant. I mean, if you guys don't believe me, an example is like the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. Because even though they're all talented people, they were still a manufactured pop group and planted in the industry by Lou Pearlman. And when he felt like, oh, the Backstreet Boys, they're getting a little bit too old to go by boys anymore, you know, and now it's starting to get creepy that 15-year-old girls are obsessed with men in their 30s. He brought in a new batch and he called them NSYNC. And if you go watch that documentary that I've told you guys to watch before, because it gives you a lot of insight on how dirty, like, a lot of these label owners and people within the industry are, you see, like, I think it's AJ and Brian that were talking on that about how they were literally like going out and doing shows with NSYNC and having no idea that NSYNC was being propped up to replace them because Lou was worried that like Backstreet wasn't going to be a moneymaker forever, so he needed to keep a fresh supply going. Carlos, you're the same thing. The industry moved on. We have Ice Spice, we have Sexy Red, we have Glorilla. Like, there's always going to be a fresh supply of new industry plant girls that they can put in front of us. And if you're not selling and making money, they see no reason to invest in you because at the end of the day, you're a business, not a human to them. And so when you say it feels like a social experiment, Carlos was a social experiment to the industry. They used her and learned, how can we actually make a profitable industry plant when it comes to female hip hop? Because the industry figured that shit out when it came to the Taylor Swifts, you know, the little white pop girls, or the Backstreet Boys and the K-pop and the Spice Girls and all of that. But they had never been able to 100% successfully do it with a female hip hop artist until she came along. So they used her, you know, like what's the saying that the first pancake always gets messed up and then the second and third ones are the pretty ones? It's like that. Like, okay, we lost a lot of money on Carlos, but we learned what works and what doesn't. And that's why there's a higher turnover rate for these plants too now. Because they're not going to waste years and millions on somebody if they're just going to be lazy or flop anyways. Exactly, Plictal, but that's why I've been saying all this time, Carlos needs to position herself into another career outside of music. Because if Atlantic lets her drop this album, it's going to be horrible for everybody. That 100% will not work out. They will not make any money off of it. It's going to honestly destroy any chance that she has to be taken seriously as a musician going forwards. Like, exit stage left right now, girl. Go move into acting, reality, being an influencer, and then just every once in a while pop up on somebody's song as a feature so that you could still kind of keep your toe in it and make it seem like you do still care, but you're just focusing on other things right now. Like Jennifer Lopez has used that excuse forever. Even though every time she comes back to music, we're like, why? Nobody asked for this. But it's like, take a hint from her playbook, you know? And as much as people want to shit on Rihanna for not putting out music, at the same token, good for her. Rihanna established herself into something else. And at the end of the day, Rihanna is a great performer. Is she the best dancer and the best singer? Hell fucking no. But she makes really good songs that people do want to listen to that have replay value. And she's good at performing them because she does have that it factor star quality to her, right? But at least Rihanna like said, you know what? I'm not going to take myself too seriously. I'm not going to act like I'm fucking Adele or Celine Dion. And I have to keep putting out music because I'm the greatest that ever existed. She saw the writing was on the wall and was like, you know what? Instead of being a joke, I'm going to go out on top and I'm going to go establish myself somewhere else. And Carlos needs to do that. listen, I would still want another album from Rihanna, but I'm also saying I would rather see her just say, I'm done with music, rather than drag it and put out like some mid-ass shit that people are gonna say, oh, you fell off. You know, you have to have some sort of awareness about you, right? And Carlos will find that out. So, anyways, like everything else that she's doing right now, this will backfire on her. There's still something that's going to come out big time about her marriage that's going to be scandalous, you know, and make her look bad. But also, there's something else about people on her team that's going to be exposed. Like, oh, you know, Precious and some random manager that she used to have like stole songs from people, or that, you know, somebody brings up emails that they were sending to different like blogs and trying to like get them to post negative things about other artists that wasn't true. There's something about her team getting exposed for dirty dealings and trying to fuck up other people's bags that Spirit saying, if she drops this album, this comes out. If she finds her way into another area of the business, she might be safe. Because there is somebody that wants Carlos to go the fuck away that has a lot of info on her that's been waiting for the right moment to release this to ruin things for her. Not Nicki. Nothing to do with Nicki's camp. This is somebody else that does not like Carlos that's in the industry, but they're on like a different, like they're not an artist themselves. It feels like maybe like label studio people, because it feels more corporate connected. Like we have emails, because that's what it keeps coming up. There's messages, there's emails like proving something. But I told you guys too, and especially if you're in what do you call Patreon, I posted, because if you guys didn't know, like the guy that runs Crazy Days and Nights, like go to the Daily Beast, and then shit, what's the other there's another outlet that's like the Daily Beast, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but they also did an article. It's all over Reddit too. But he got exposed, you know, because he was having an affair with another podcaster, and the podcaster and the wife were going back and forth, and it turned into restraining orders and lawsuits and all kinds of shit. And basically the wife exposed him for just making up his info, or just taking things that people send him and posting it, copy, paste, and not like fact checking or anything. And then like 3 days after that came out, because that all came out around the same time that Nicki went off on that girl on TikTok for reading posts from his website, around that time, he also posted a blind, and I said, this is him trying to get the heat off of him. And he said in the blinds that Carlos and Jason Flea sit on the phone and plot and plan against Nicki, and then they send stories about her to other bloggers to post. And that Jason is always secretly recording Carlos and like letting other people hear the phone calls and putting her on speaker and telling everybody like, oh, like she wants me to run a story on Nicki, but I sent it to this person instead, which I said, if this is true, I was like, then that obviously shows you that, number one, they know it's lies, and that's why Flea won't post it on his own blog. He makes other people post it because he doesn't want to end up getting sued. But number two, he was obviously also trying to throw them under the bus. So if Nicki did decide to sue, it's like, oh, let me go after them because they're the ones feeding that info to people. So this feels like it's something like that. Like how, you know, NT exposed that Carlos and Jason were going around sending stories to other blogs that they made up about Nicki. It feels like Carlos has done this to more than just Nicki, and those emails are going to get exposed. it's not going to be good for her, because obviously, as much as she can come out and be like, I never told him to do that, people are still going to be like, that's your fucking team. Like, how do you not know that your team is making up lies and stories about other artists and then selling it to blogs? Like, come on. So she'll still get blamed for it no matter how much she tries to say she had nothing to do with it. So, but Bia will end up benefiting from this. And this is the thing too that Spirit's saying. It's like, if Carlos thinks that picking fights with people is gonna like put her back on top, the only way that that can happen is if she just fucking puts her big girl panties on and goes and fights with Nikki and puts a fucking direct and a stamp on it this time. Like, nobody really is checking for Bia in the sense, not that we don't care about her, but you know how it is. There's certain people that, like, when they're in drama, it's just exciting. It's gonna hit the blogs. Everybody's gonna be invested in it. Bia's not that kind of girl that we're like, oh, she's gonna go tear somebody a new asshole and we can't wait to see this, the way that we would if it was like Tokyo Tony, right? Like, you know, not to take Tokyo Tony seriously, but like, she's entertaining as all get out, and she will say some wild shit that will probably turn into a cultural moment that we'll keep saying forever after that, like the grandma is the baby or something. But Bia, it's just like, it's not going to get her that attention that she's looking for. All it's doing is making Bia trend and making more people aware of who Bia is, and it's just backfiring on Carlos. And so Spirit's saying the next person that she's going to pick out is going to be JT. People are going to take JT's side. So it's like just running through the list. Who do I fight with next? Who's the person that if I fight with them, people will finally take my side on this one? Because everybody keeps taking the side of everybody else. But it's the same thing that I said a long time ago, that if Lotto didn't quit picking at Ice Spice, like, it was only going to make Lotto look worse and then end up making her look like a bully. Spirit saying, you know, maybe people let it slip when Carlos did this with all of the girls that were on the Super Freaky Girl Queen mix. Remember when she picked fights with all of them? Like, people kind of let that go. But if you go back for round 2, people are going to be like, obviously this girl's a bully. And obviously she really does have such a fucking problem with Nikki that she can't just only fight with Nikki. She has to go fight with everybody that, you know, Nikki's ever been cool with. And people are going to start clocking her for who she really is. So I know you watch this shit, Carlos. You've been warned. Doesn't she get tired? Hey, Ange, I'm glad you made it. Oh my God, I wish if she got tired, she wouldn't be on all of her Twitter rants all the time. I mean, and especially too, I'm just going to remind everybody, this girl be, other people get all kinds of accusations lobbed against them. And meanwhile, Carlos can't spit out a sentence to save her life, but she's on, you know, Twitter spaces at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning going off on people and screaming at them and slurring her words, and everybody thinks that's normal. But God forbid somebody get on a live and also try to read the comments at the same time. They're on something. And I just laugh at that because I'm like, dude, seriously, every single content creator looks like that when we're on a live. That we're trying to tell you something, but we're also reading the comments and getting distracted. So then we start talking slow because we're trying to stay on point, but also acknowledge everybody. I'm like, that doesn't mean that you're on drugs. It means you're trying to do 100 things at once. So, listen, Caitlin, all of these people watch us. Hey, Bostress, I'm on every week. I missed you. I'm glad you made it. But Every single one of these people, you guys, they watch these videos. Jay-Z, Diddy, Beyonce, Carlos, they all watch these videos. It doesn't matter. You guys can be like, oh, Bella's full of shit. She's just trying to big herself up. She only has, 6,000 whatever subscribers. Tokyo Tony tried to call herself, telling me off in my comments on the video I did on her and her daughter within 20 minutes of that video being posted. Okay, and I know Tony's got more time on her hands than a lot of other people, but I'm just saying, they Google themselves, they watch these videos, especially the psychic ones, because they want to know, oh, well, if you're saying that I'm gonna like have a tower card moment, like I want to try to avert that, or if you're saying that this person's gonna start shit with me, like I want to be forewarned, right? And some of them do take, our advice and stuff, and we'll see them like change shit up after a reading. There's other people like Carlos that, they've had me and every single other person on here that does readings that's truthful and connected that has been telling her that she needs to knock it the fuck off and get her shit together, and she doesn't. So, but they all watch. I mean, come on, you guys. I've told you guys before, and we all know at this point, it's not hard to get Carlos's attention. Put Nikki's picture as your profile picture. It doesn't matter if you made the account 5 minutes ago and tweet that Carlos sucks and Nikki's the best, and she will find it and she will respond to you and probably tell you that you need to die or your mom is a whore or some crazy thing that, the normal, typical, low vibrational shit she says to people. So would we be surprised that she's not also watching these videos while she's fighting with the barbs? She probably listens to us in the background while she's tweeting at the barbs. She's probably got her TV on split screen and there's like me and 3 other psychics all doing a reading in the background at the same time on her while she's with her phone fighting with the barbs on Twitter. She keeps up with herself and everything that people are saying. I'm her worst nightmare. I'm not her healing at all. So, smoking like a train, right? Yep, I was like, I only have a vape, and it's a weed vape, but just chain smoking. She's got them in 2 hands, just going. I have never seen anybody who is such a damn junkie for cigarettes as this girl, too. Like, the fact that when they got kicked out of that house that they didn't pay the rent on, and they said that there was like cigarette burns everywhere in the house, I was like, are we surprised? Like, we've seen this girl get on live with all of the windows rolled up in the back of a fucking car smoking 2 cigarettes at once. I'm like, how do you even smoke 2 cigarettes at once? Like, isn't that a waste of the cigarette? Like, just smoke one and then light another one afterwards. Like, I don't get why she does that either. Because it's like, are you that addicted that, like, you have to smoke 2 at a time? Like, you need real help if that's how it's going, girl. And can you imagine how nasty that her and Off Cheat must smell, like old, stale fucking cigarettes and beer? Because after all them damn stories that people came out about their days of working in the club with her, it smell like BO sweat, old cigarettes, old beer. No, thank you. But also, the number one thing that they tell you, anytime that you have any procedure, whether it's even yesterday when I got my damn teeth cleaned, the dentist was like, if you smoke, try not to smoke for a couple hours afterwards. And they didn't even do anything to me except clean my damn teeth and take an x-ray. I know when I got Botox for my migraines, like, they made me sign so many freaking waivers that I wasn't going to smoke. And if I did, that I needed to wait 72 hours afterwards because you can have a stroke. And then they made the nurse have a whole conversation with me about that too, and how it can make you have a stroke. And this girl literally is always fucking recovering from something, and she chain smokes, and I'm like, she needs to stop playing with her damn life and be thankful that she hasn't had a fucking stroke from chain smoking while she's recovering from her 43rd nose job. Dude, it's so dangerous to smoke after you had those procedures. That's why I was like, and she's out here always telling people that they deserve to die. Like, girl, you don't want to put that energy out there and see what the universe is going to bring back to your doorstep. And stop fucking playing around. I mean, you got little kids. And also, stop fucking smoking in your house. You have kids. How gross are you? And don't you give a fuck about those kids? Like, they're going to end up with asthma from all that secondhand smoke. No, go ask any medical professional, Kyla. They will tell you, like, it's not a fucking joke. Like, there used to be a show called, I think it was called, like, Dr. 90210, and I think Paul Nassif was on that show, or maybe it was Dr. Dubrow. It was on, this was, like, pre any Housewives shows. Like, this is, like, old. Because I was in my 20s when they had this show on, and I remember watching it. And some girl, I think she was like a porn star, she wanted to get her boobs redone, and they wouldn't do it because they saw cigarettes in her purse, and the doctor told her that, like, he wouldn't do a surgery on anybody that smokes because it's way too much of a risk, and also you make the chance of, like, scar tissue developing even worse because, you know, nicotine and tobacco and the smoke itself, like, narrows your like, blood vessels and arteries, and you need all of that blood pumping to any injury site in order for it to be able to heal. And so that's why the doctor was like, you can end up with serious complications, so I won't take that risk with my patient. So that was, like, I remember the first time ever seeing that. And then, you know, since then, like, it's only gotten worse and worse, because they also say on all the papers too now that, like, vaping is the same thing, that it doesn't matter if it's a cigarette or a vape, like, they don't want you to smoke anything after you've had any kind of procedures. Which, honestly, too, oh my God, I can't even imagine if you, like, got your teeth. That's the other thing, too. Like, don't they get their teeth done all the time? Have they never heard of dry rot? Oh, my God. Or dry socket, not dry rot. That's, like, for building. Dry socket. Oh, my God. That would hurt so bad. Like, if you guys have never heard that, look it up. It's called dry socket. Like, when you get, like, a root canal or a tooth removed, and, like, smoking will make that happen. So it's so bad. Oh my God, I would never want to have that. But anyways, let's take a look at Saweetie, because apparently she is trying to make her return to music. Which, by the way, did you guys listen to Saweetie's new song? I thought it was good. It was way better than Carlos and Mucus's songs. And this is why I never give up on Saweetie, because every once in a while, like, she puts out something and you're like, oh, you did that, like, good. And then, you know, we get a bunch of Too Short samples afterwards. So, but I know that the interview that they did, that she said that the label kind of tried to, like, push her in a different direction and market her differently. And I honestly think that this is exactly Saweetie's lane. You know, pretty luxury girl music. It does not have to be, oh, I'm out here fighting with my fucking ops and getting in a shootout with some other drug dealers or any crazy things like that, because it's okay that that's not who you are, you know, and there's plenty of pretty girls who like to live a luxurious, soft life, you know, that vibe with that energy. And so the more that she leans into it, the more that I feel like she's really going to find her real, true fan base. So, oh, he turned on her. Not a surprise. Just wait for a flea to turn on her, because that will inevitably happen. Especially if lawsuits hit. I mean, that's why I always say Nicki needs to just sue everybody. Because these people will all throw each other under the bus when it comes time to have to pay a judgment, right? Nobody wants to lose their bag or have to give it up. So they will throw anybody else under the bus to save themselves. Wait, Megan threw shots at Saweetie and Piss. I did not listen to Piss, so apparently I missed that. I didn't see anybody talking about it. What did she say? And just for the last time, guys, Saweetie did not fuck Offset. If we haven't figured out by now that Quavo will say anything when he's mad and wants to try to, you know. Quavo's just as bad as Carlos, and I can't wait for people to see that someday. Because people forget all the dirty shit that he did to Nicki, too. And I'm just like, no, he's had, like, a whole pattern of just being a dick to women and then being an asshole to them after the fact, when usually the reason why that woman isn't fucking with you anymore is because you did some jerk shit in the first place. So, alrighty. See, this is the thing that Spirit's saying. You know, is Saweetie ever gonna have her, like, even moment where she's, like, where Carlos, you know, was at her height or anything like that? No. But if Saweetie really focuses on creating and sticking to her own lane when it comes to music, she can really make a career out of it. But Spirit's saying, you know, she is going to have to create and stick to that lane that we thought she was going down, where it is, you know, the pretty bitch music, as she calls it. So as long as she's okay with that and she doesn't want more, then it will be okay, if that makes sense. Like, if you can be okay with having your own fan base, your own version of your music, really kind of creating this whole business and world around it and getting back to the Icy Girl stuff, and you don't feel like you need to compete on a high mainstream level, then she's completely fine. But if she all of a sudden feels like, oh, well, I need to be in the top 10 and I need to be compared to and be given the same opportunities as some of the other girls that people like probably take more seriously, like a JT or, you know, a Megan, that's when it can end up being a problem again. And we kind of already went there a little bit with her. But Spirit's saying that she needs to, you know, just kind of remember, like, that's what got you off track. When you were doing that, you were good. Like, things were building for you. It was a good space for you to be in. I also keep feeling like we're still going to see her prioritizing other stuff over music anyways. Like, we're still going to see her acting. We're still going to see her doing the influencer stuff. We're still going to see her, you know, probably even coming out with her own brand of things. But she will still, like, dabble in music. But I don't see music being that really, like, focus of, like, where her career is and where they're trying to go with it. She's definitely going to have, you know, people like Mucus and Carlos trying to pick at her because Like, this is the funny thing. For as much as people want to say Saweetie ain't shit and she can't rap and she can't do this and she can't do that, she sure has the girls shaking in their fucking boots though. Because there is something that Spirit's saying, you know, as far as Carlos having her issues with her. Carlos is just an insecure, jealous fucking bitch, right? Like, and she's always been that way. So, like, Carlos's shit all came from just being in the vicinity of Saweetie because, you know, Saweetie was with Quavo and Carlos was with Off Cheat. And that built Carlos's like hatred of Saweetie because it was like, oh, Off Cheat always seems to have a big old fucking smile on his face when you come around. Everybody told her she looked pretty today. She's naturally pretty. Quavo doesn't seem to, you know, hate her the way Off Cheat seems to hate me. And it was just little shit like that. Like, there was no real reason or big thing that happened that it was like, oh, okay, you know, like, I can see why you have an issue with her. As far as Megan goes, what Spirit's saying is she doesn't like Saweetie because she feels like they're competing for the same deals. And it feels like at one point Megan got something that Saweetie didn't get. And honestly, I feel like it might be that Coach deal. And Megan thought, oh, okay, well then I'm ahead of you. But since then, Megan hasn't. That was the biggest deal that, you know, Megan's probably had in quite a while, other than this Nike thing. And Saweetie was still racking up endorsements during that time, and Spirit saying a couple of them were things that Megan wanted that didn't work out for her that went to Saweetie, and that's where she's getting this from. But Saweetie was calling it Icy Girl season for years before Mucus came out and started talking about hot girl summer and all that shit. Because I remember people saying, oh, Megan had to claim the summer because Saweetie already claimed the winter, like when that happens. And I knew who Saweetie was for years before I ever heard of a fucking Megan Thee Stallion. So Megan can say whatever she fucking wants, but like nobody copied you. Why the hell would Saweetie want to copy Megan Thee Stallion? Like, they could not be more opposite of each other. Like, Saweetie's all about, like, being classy and pretty and feminine. And Megan's like, I'm a wrestler and aggressive and in your face. Saweetie has a communication degree. She does marketing and PR really well. I'd love to see her create something in that lane. I would love to see her bring back Icy University and do something like that, because this is the thing that I was just having a conversation with somebody about the other day, right? When you start off and you want to be, say, a content creator or an influencer, and that's something that you want to make like a full-time job for you. Obviously, you cannot rely on views alone because AdSense really ain't shit. And you have to like work your ass off and constantly be putting out videos that are getting high view counts in order for you to like make enough money off of, you know, views in order for that to pay your bills. You need sponsorships, you need brand deals, you need outside, you know, extra sources of income. And so when you look online, there's all these people, and a lot of times too, it's like, girl, you have less followers than me. Why the fuck would I pay for your course? You know, when they're always like, oh, you can make $6,000 a month sitting at home posting on Instagram if you buy my course, and they have like 4,000 followers. And I'm like, grow your own page and then I'll consider it. But all of those courses are always the most basic ass shit. Nobody really teaches you the actual business end of any of this. And that's the stuff that's gonna make or break you. setting aside money for taxes, how to negotiate a sponsorship deal, how much should you be asking for? Do you need a lawyer to read over those contracts? What are the things that you should put into a contract? And nobody ever has any of that kind of information in any of these courses. And I was just thinking somebody needs to put together a course like that. Saweetie would be one of those perfect people that could do that because she wouldn't have to actually present all of the information herself. She brings in other people and sells the course to everybody. I would buy it if she had a course that had like experts on there talking about this is how you negotiate a sponsorship deal and this is how you want to structure your payments and this is the percentage that you want to put to the side. And like, I would love to have that information. And I think a lot of people would. And I think that Saweetie would be somebody that would be great at having courses like that and being able to help everybody in that sense. So it's my whole thing. Hey, Mimi, I'm glad you made it. Oh, yeah. Business classes are a lot of fucking math. That's why, because originally my major was fashion sales and merchandising. So when people say like, oh, you're good at marketing, I'm like, because I was basically like what I was originally going to school for, to be marketing in the fashion industry. Got my AA, decided I didn't want to do that full time, switched to business, realized it was a hell of a lot of math, and then decided that I wanted to go into sociology and psychology instead. So which thankfully didn't have a lot of math, but I will forever get a kick out of the fact that everybody around me when I was growing up that said I sucked at math and science, and I'm like, well, I have a degree in science. It's social sciences, but it still counts to get out of my face. So, are we ready to talk about Mr. Pass Around Potty Bottom Meek? And what are your questions about him? Put question in front of it and drop it in the chat. I mean, you guys, everybody that's been in my Patreon knows that I've been telling you guys since I started the Patreon that Meek was a pass around party bottom, and that everything that's come out about Diddle Bob and Jay-Z, I already like told everybody, what, 3 years ago when we started Patreon. So I've just been sitting here for the past 6 months like, oh, right again. Look at that. I told you guys about that too. Oh, here's another lawsuit confirming everything I said about these people. That's why I tell you guys, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, next week something is going to happen. I will give you guys crazy predictions and people think I'm wrong. And then 4 years later, everything plays out exactly like I said it would. I'm more of a longer term, bigger prediction type of a person, and less of this is what's going to happen tomorrow kind of a thing. So, did he actually eat those marinated bleached fries? Sadly, Lindsay, he did. He actually really did. And on top of that, you guys, remember the pool fries? On top of that, why did those fries look like he got them from McDonald's the night before? Like, if you're gonna eat fries on your fucking legs in a pool, like, at least eat fresh ones. So... And listen, guys, for everybody, the Nikki stuff we have to keep in Patreon because people, like I told you, they watch these videos also so they can plot on her. But I will just say this. Meek just slid in at the right time with Nikki, okay? Like, she was going through shit in the industry. Her and Safari had just broken up. She found out he was stealing her money to cheat on her with prostitutes and buy himself ugly furs. So Meek just got really fucking lucky that Nikki needed a rebound and he was the person that just happened to be there at the time. And on top of it, between Meek and Safari and Quavo, we know that Nikki has questionable taste in men. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to make that make sense for you guys. I don't get it that they broke up because he was getting his booty hole blown out. Spirit saying they would have broken up anyways, and he was, you know, on her anyways. So of course, like that also would have caused a breakup. But I don't think the gay stuff had anything to do with it. That was probably Diddle Bob's pool. Listen, I thought that that was the pool at his grandma's nursing home that he tried to lie and say that he bought her a house. Do you guys remember that when Meek went and told everybody that he bought his grandma a house and was like posting all these pictures of it and bragging and being like, this is what I worked so hard for so I could take care of my family? And then the Barbs figured out that he put her in a nursing home. Like, Meek is so fucking embarrassing. They had the whole brochure. His grandma's room was right there in the freaking pictures and the catalog and everything. So that's why when he started having all those pool parties that were all men, people were, like, Barbs were dragging him and saying that he was having them at the pool at his grandma's nursing home, and that that the nurses were going to come and tell him that he needed to get out of the pool because water aerobics was going to start soon. So it might have been Diddle Bob's pool, but it also could have been the nursing home pool. We don't know. Is Diddy using blackmail on Meek? Well, not anymore. I mean, Diddle, listen, all of these people, they all get it in one way or another. Go watch The Art of Dialogue. Gene Deal was talking about this situation, and he explained it the same way that I have for years too, that, you know, they love to catch people up on some stuff, right? Like, oh, we're gonna have a party and we're gonna encourage everybody, put your cell phones away. It's just whatever you want goes. Nobody's got their phones out. Nobody can record you. Meanwhile, all the security cameras and the hidden cameras that they have all over the property are capturing everything. And they're, you know, what did Cassie say in that lawsuit? That they, you know, he's always pushing people to do drugs and drink to excess so that way they're not in control of themselves, or they don't remember things, you know, or they're more likely to be caught in a compromising position. And of course, those hidden cameras are capturing everything. So then 3 days later, when you're finally starting to feel like you can walk normal again, you're getting a phone call or an email or something, and somebody's showing you a clip from those security cameras and saying, did you have fun? And now you're going to do whatever the fuck we want you to do, or everybody's going to find out that you and Rick Ross were in the fucking hot tub naked, spinning circles around each other all night long last night. So they do it on purpose, and that's how they blackmail people, you know. And then on top of it, think about it. When you're in a Meek Mill type of a position, and obviously we know that while in every other community, you know, people are more accepting of people who have different gender, you know, and sexual desires and whatnot. Hip hop is not really that place, you know, and Meek is not ready to go rebrand himself as Lil Meek X and be a gay Satan worshiper on a cross, you know. So he's not going to come out and be like, yeah, that happened and he tried to blackmail me with it. He's going to deny. So, but the funniest part is, you know, like Andrew, did you guys see the Andrew Schultz comedy thing? I do not find Andrew Schultz to be funny most of the time, but I'm not gonna lie, I was dying laughing Because he was right. He's like, Meek is the worst at trying to convince people that he's straight. Like, he sounds like a gay person, you know, that's trying to be like, oh, yes, I love women. Boobs are awesome. It's like, Meek, shut up. Now you're just making us believe everything is true, whether it is or not, because you won't stop trying to, you know, discredit this. And if he would have just said, like everybody else, have your lawyer put out a statement and say, we unequivocally deny this and we will be, you know, pursuing the truth and justice in a court of law or some shit like that, and then just leave it at that. Like, but tweeting every 5 seconds that you like pussy is not helping your case. So, is that alleged audio with him and Diddle Bob a warning to him? Yeah. What is Meek going to do about his honey bunny Diddy? The same thing that Carisha and everybody else that doesn't want the truth about their relationship with Diddle to come out, you know, distance yourself and act like you're not still cool with them. And then either they get exonerated and now it's safe for you to hang out with them again, or you just act like Oprah did about Weinstein and Epstein and all of her other weird friends. I didn't really know that person, even though there's years of you saying that's your best friend and pictures of you hugging and kissing them everywhere. So basically whatever his PR team tells him to do if he listens to them. Who's his favorite top? Well, we know it's not Drake because Drake seems like a bottom too. How does he truly feel about his actions? Okay. And then I'm going to have to start wrapping it up, guys. But as far as, you know, this kind of stuff just goes in general, right? So, for instance, I'm trying to think like who would be a good example. Okay, so Drake Bell, right? Like he came out and he just said that he was recently has come out and said that he was the kid that was abused by a dialogue coach on the Nickelodeon set. And everybody was well aware that just a couple years ago, his own self, he went through a court case for, you know, doing certain things that he shouldn't have been doing with minors. And so a lot of times, you know, that's kind of how predators are created. Either they were a victim, you know, when they were younger, and then they grow up and perpetuate the same behaviors on somebody else. And this is, you guys, not one single thing, as much as everybody is scantilated and titillated and oh my God, I can't believe this. None of the shit that you have heard that has come out about Diddle Bop is anything that any other person in the industry hasn't been a part of at any other point. If you make it to a position where somebody can call you some kind of a gatekeeper, like a Jay-Z, like a Diddle, like a Clive Davis, they're all doing the same shit that Diddy is being exposed for now. And I've always said, you know, as much as people want to say, oh, Clive Davis, oh, Jay-Z, oh, Diddle, they're still the middleman. There's still somebody above them that's pulling the strings, and they're the person that's just doing the bad shit on behalf of somebody else. But they're doing the same things to people that was done to them, and they see it as this is the normal thing that you have to do to make it in this industry. I had to bend over to get where I am. So now, because I put in all the work of bending over, now it's my turn to do the bending. Like, that's how they really think, you guys. Like, I know it sounds crazy and like I'm just joking, but like, no, that's really the mindset of these people. They literally think that's just the same way that, you know, like I don't know, you have to go to medical school and then do your residency before you can be, you know, a full doctor. So that means that you're going to have to do the grunt work, right? You're the one that has to do all the midnight surgeries. You're the one that has to stay at the hospital and do the charts and stuff, because that's your rite of passage, and how you earn your spot is like head surgeon at the hospital someday. They think it's the same way, just with getting butt fucked and drugged and blackmailed and having people's careers ruined. So, and they just think, oh, well, you know, you put in the work and you prove yourself, and then someday you'll be me and you get to be the one that's, you know, calling the shots and making everybody do whatever. So, trust and believe, we are nowhere near done hearing about these kind of people, but they do it because they think it's normal because somebody else did it to them, you know, before that. So, oh, there's always somebody above somebody. Do you guys think that the president of the United States has any real fucking power? No. Go to Patreon, you'll see who's really the real president. And even that one's answering to somebody else that's above him, because at the end of the day, everybody's answering to the 13 Illuminati families. And if you guys want to know more about that, patreon.com/psychicbellalove, or you can always book your own personal private reading, psychicbellalove.com. But yeah, I mean, it's just, that's how all these people are, and they're all participating in it. If they're not doing the bending, they're getting bent. It's sad, but it's true. Well, and at the end of the day, I can't really feel sorry for a lot of people because they chose to do this. Like Meek, he didn't have to go get passed around in the industry, because before Diddy had his hands on him, he was Rick Ross's. And then at one point, he was the, you know, pass around party bottom for Roc Nation. And then he got thrown back to Rick Ross again. And now Lil Baby is the new Meek. But they have a choice. You can always say, I'm not doing that shit. But everybody knows, especially at this point, that, you know, there's a reason why they say that the saying in the industry is, it's either your soul or your whole, in order for you to get anywhere. So you're the one that decided to give it up. I can't feel sorry for you, because guess what? It's not like I've never had the opportunity to go become rich and famous too. I decided I was keeping my soul and all my damn holes. And there's a lot of other people out there that have made the same decisions multiple times. So, you know, and if I did decide, oh, I want to go be rich and famous and I'll do anything, then I wouldn't expect any of you to feel bad for me if I was sitting here crying about how I got passed around, because I signed up for that. It's different when you're a kid and your parent sells you to Hollywood and you have no choice. But when you're a grown-ass adult and you say, no, it's more important for me to have dreams and nightmares hit the Billboard charts, that I'm just going to go to the party and let everybody do whatever to me, that's a choice you made. Live with your choices. I can't feel sorry for you. Shout out to our girl Janet Jackson. Listen, every time you ever hear me talk about getting bent or doing the bending, that is my way of shouting out our girl Janet. That was the most traumatizing fucking movie, and I will never watch it again though. It was a good movie, but it was traumatizing. So if you guys just always see that clip and feel like you need to go watch the whole movie, no, you don't. If you like Michael Ealy and you want to still be able to ever look at him again, you do not watch that movie. You'll never forgive him. Every time that he gets posted on any of these blogs, I'm like, motherfucker, just keep scrolling. And so No, I'm not going to because there's no point, Kyla. We already talked about it at the beginning of this video. You know, Kelsey's not going to admit that she's the one real bad person because then that means that Tori's getting get out of jail and she's going to have to take his place. So there's no point. I mean, there's really no point in doing a reading on it if nothing came from it except for people just saying Kelsey just, you know, did the same shit that she did on the stand and just talk in circles. So, anyways, guys, I gotta go. But I love you all. I hope everybody had a good week so far. I hope the rest of your week is good. We will be back at it next Tuesday. I do not have anything scheduled on Tuesday. Let's all tell the universe to make sure that AT&T, YouTube, Google, any of the apps that need to be working in order for me to be live will all be working the way that they're supposed to. And I don't get any more allergy migraines so that we can be here on Tuesday. Dude, I know. I was like, all of the apps just keep having issues and you never know like what's going on anymore. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, just work. So anyways, guys, I love you so much. Your ancestors love you too. Have an amazing day. And remember, at the end of the day, you still have your soul and you still have your whole intact. You are better than any of these people. Don't ever think that a celebrity has a better, nicer, happier, more fulfilled life than you, because they do not. You are the real winner here. You have more control over your life and your destiny than any of these people do or ever will. You are not forced to worship Satan and get bent over just so that you can continue to go to work every day. So you're already ahead. Just remember that. Love ya. Bye.